What you are about to learn is not a webinar. It does not have a sales pitch at the end. It's just good old-fashioned information. It's actually the first half of a training called A Clear Strategy for Making Art Sales. If you want the rest, I will send you more information about that later, but for now, just enjoy the training. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are going to be doing something really exciting today. Do I say that every time? Yep, I do. We are going to be making a clear strategy for selling your art, okay? No more mumbo jumbo, no more wasting time. Just here is how I can sell art. And it's going to be simple. Simple. Isn't that exciting? Okay, so first we're going to strip marketing down to the basics so you understand how it works. You know, you hear about this piece and that piece and that piece and that piece and all the different things that you should be doing, but without understanding how they all come together, you are just throwing spaghetti at a wall. So I'm going to lay it out for you super crisp and clear. Number two, we're going to be looking at the biggest mistakes that artists are making when deciding how they want to sell their art. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. And then number three, we're going to be creating a unique to you plan, okay? We're going to be starting with what really works for you. I'm going to help you see that and lay it out in a clear fashion. And then you're always wanting to try something new, right? You want to be creative. You want to have a little fun. So I'm going to show you how to work that in as well. So you're not always doing the same things. You are making it better and better and more what you want to be doing. Okay, let's get started. I've never used this before, so excuse me. How do I go back? All right, so when we are doing this training, this is a Simplify Your Marketing training. I am going to be helping you increase your confidence. What I mean by that is you knowing that what you're doing is going to be making a difference. So it's going to be a lot easier to be taking those steps forward. And also, it's going to be a lot easier when you try something 2 or 3 times and it doesn't work to not just throw it out the window. If you do it 2 more times, it's going to work that time. So it takes repeated effort of doing the same things over and over. And the more you work through this process, the more often you will make those sales. So next, this is going to be pretty focused on not just putting yourself out into the internet and crossing your fingers, but also building up those relationships, building up that network, because my guess is 99.9% of the time this is true, that the more connections you have, the more art you sell. And I'm also going to show you how all the pieces fit together. So those are the main things we're going to be working on this training. Okay, very first thing we're going to do. I was going to do this at the end, but it just makes more sense here. So I'm going to ask you, after I explain how this exercise works, to pause your video. Don't just keep watching. I know it's very tempting to do that, but if you follow my process, it will click better. Okay, so you're just going to have to trust me, and you're just going to have to hit that pause button. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to kill you, but it will work better if you do it the way I show you. Okay, so first I want you to do a brain dump. Marketing brain dump. All the things you already do in one column, and I want you to break it down as little as you can. And also in another column, another sheet of paper, whatever, all the things you want to or think you should be doing. Those are things you're not necessarily doing yet. So In the already do column, it probably looks something like writing and scheduling social media posts, changing your website copy, uploading products to your website, looking for new hashtags. I'm guessing there's probably going to be 20 to 30 things on this list if you break them down into little pieces. You can see where you are spending time, okay? We're not going to go so far as to do a time study or anything like that, but I do want you to see all the things you're already doing. And then in the next column, the things you want to do, think you should be doing, you've heard you need to do, like start writing a newsletter, add a blog to your website, create an opt-in, all those kinds of things that are on your to-do list and you're trying to make time to do them, but you just haven't gotten there yet because you're so busy already doing the things in your already do column. I'm trying to make those work, okay? So here is where you are going to pause the video, make a list of everything you can think of. You'll probably leave some stuff off. You can add to it as you go and as you think of more. But I just want you to start off with a decent understanding of where you're already spending your time and the things that you're trying to also fit into your time or want to fit into your time in the near future, okay? Take a pause. I'm going to take a pause too. Okay, you're all done? If you're all done, you can keep watching. If not, hit pause again. All right, let's keep going. Okay, now we're going to get into breaking down how marketing works. It's really very simple. It's overcomplicated a lot of times, and it does not need to be, and that is part of what is throwing you off. So let's simplify it, shall we? This is a Simplify Your Marketing training, after all. There's 3 phases. Phase 1, they have to know you and your art exist. If they don't know it exists, they can't buy it, right? That's a very important step. Now, I've broken each of these phases down into 2 categories. Because there are different ways that you can get people to know that you and your art exist, but some work faster than others. Not necessarily better. It depends how in a hurry you are to sell your art, okay? So cold ways. What I mean by cold is these are people who, when they find your art, they will know nothing about you. They're going to take a lot longer to decide to actually make that purchase as they work through the phases. So maybe they found you through hashtags, an internet search. Maybe they found you on Pinterest. Maybe they found you on social media, whether that's LinkedIn. Why did I say LinkedIn? Nobody uses LinkedIn. Maybe you do, sorry. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. Whatever it is that you use, right? Probably most of you use Instagram because that's kind of the artist platform. Or maybe if you want people to know your art exists and not take a bazillion years to actually decide to buy, some ways that that could happen is by another person or another business recommending you, sharing you on social media, talking to you about a friend. Maybe you're doing collaborations with someone and getting in front of their audience. Or maybe that's you telling someone that you already know what you're doing. So these types of activities tend to create sales a lot faster than the cold activities. So that's phase 1. Very simple, right? They have to know you exist. Number 2, relationship building. All right, so there's a lot of room for fluctuation in that phrase, but I'm going to kind of break it down for you right here. Okay, number 1, for people who are going to find you in the, or let me backtrack a minute. So relationship building, the reason it is important, they found you, right? A lot of times people assume this middle phase doesn't exist And if they found you and they like your art, they should just buy it. That's a common thing I hear. That's just not really how it works, unfortunately. Sometimes, once in a while it does. But you will sell a lot more art if you do not look past this phase. So, ways that you can build relationships that take longer, but still work, eventually over the long, they might not work as well, but they will work. They get to know you through your posts, your emails, your blogs, your videos, but you never really have contact with them. So it's more like a one-sided relationship where maybe they might say something like, I feel like I know you, but you don't know me. So a lot of what people teach you when you're learning about marketing, they all keep you in this colder phase. And like I said, it can work. It can. But it just doesn't work as well. So when you especially are in those beginning phases of building your art business, if you focus more on the warmer activities, you will get results faster. So relationship building on the warmer side is actually like a two-sided relationship, right? Maybe you chit chat. It doesn't have to be about your art all the time. A lot of mentors that I've had have disagreed with me on this. But from talking to artists about what works for them to sell art, and also myself, what works for me to sell to artists, things like chit chat are invaluable. Plus, it makes it more fun when you're having talks with people that you have things in common with. I'm not talking about just trying to start random conversations with someone that starts following you and you're like, okay, they look kind of weird, but I guess I should say something, so how's it going? That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is, oh, that person looks pretty cool. They did this thing. I wanna say something to them about that. Okay? Chit chat, like you would do in real life. Maybe this is in real life. Maybe you are not so focused on online. Maybe you want to focus more online, real life. They're both real life. It's just easier to classify things that way. So let's just keep going with that. Maybe that means you starting more conversations with people in real life. Okay. If they have questions, answer them immediately, quickly, efficiently. It doesn't mean you need to be on social media all the time, checking your email all the time, but within 24 hours, showing interest in them, not just building this place online, wherever that is for you, and saying, come to me, come to me. That's not fun. Nobody wants to do that. Go out to them. All right, show interest in them. Reaching out to them personally to tell them news. Hey, I've got this new thing, and I thought that you would like it, and I thought of you because of blah, blah, blah. Go sign up for my newsletter if you want to get it. Whatever it is. I don't know. That was very... can't think of words. Non-eloquent. Let's go with that. Anyway, you get the idea. Phase 3, selling. Okay, so they know you exist. You've built a relationship with them. You can't stop there. That's not all there is. There is a third phase, and it's called selling. And for a lot of people, this is the scariest one, but it doesn't have to be. For other people, it's super easy. They just say, hey, do you like it? Buy my art. Hey, do you like it? Buy my art. But generally, those people don't do much relationship building or much audience building. So you're probably naturally good at one of these, maybe two. You're going to have to work on the other one or two because they all fit together. It's like a puzzle piece puzzle pieces in a puzzle. If you don't put them all together, you don't get the whole picture. So selling cold. Using calls to action to get them to buy. So again, this is very disconnected, but it's also important because if someone is just browsing through your stuff and decides they want to buy it, but they don't know how to buy it, that's not helpful. Then again, just saying buy my stuff doesn't mean they're going to go buy your stuff, but it's good to have on there because sometimes it will lead to sales. Making it easy for them to know how to purchase. This kind of goes back to using calls to action, but it might be more, simplifying your website so there's not 1,800 buttons, making it very clear that on the front page, here's the thing that I'm selling right now on social media, here's a button to get there. Not making them click 1,800 times to find something because that's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. Now, warm selling. This does not mean you going, hey, buy my stuff. Hey, you, buy my stuff. That doesn't work either. Okay, once in a while it works, but it's not fun. I don't want to do that. Do you want to do that? I'm not going to teach you how to do that. Following up with people who said they were interested. This is a really big one. Not just once, a couple of times. And that doesn't mean you saying, hey, do you want to buy it? Hey, do you want to buy it? But, hey, is there anything I can do to help you make a decision? I wanted to let you know I got a different size in today because I knew you were thinking maybe it was too small. Whatever would be helpful to them. I thought maybe this email got lost in your inbox, so I wanted to resend it because I know how busy we all are. Following up is not, it's not this. It's, let me help you. That's really what selling is. It's let me help you. So these kind of all go together. Customer service, same thing. That's back to following up with people who said they were interested. That's good customer service. If you don't do that, if people don't, if I say I'm interested and they send me one email and then I never hear from them again, I assume they don't want me to buy from them because I'm busy. I need them to help me by following up with me. Honestly, I will not buy from someone unless they follow up. It's just a thing. I'm a busy person. I need you to help me buy from you. This also goes to letting people know about ways that you'll help them make an easier decision. Maybe someone said that they're interested, but they just don't know. So how can you help them make an easier decision? Do you want to do a virtual studio visit? Do you want to come to my house if COVID's not a thing? Can I drop the art off if you're local? Can I drop the art off at your house and you can try it out for a couple of days? And if you don't like it, I'll come get it. Do you need a payment plan? What are some ways that you can make their life easier? So you can also use some of these things in your marketing. It doesn't have to be necessarily to one person, although they will feel special if you do it for one person. If maybe that means you DMing them and offering some of these things. So we've got cold, we've got warm, we've got 3 phases. Clear so far? Clear as mud? Okay, 3 biggest marketing problems I see. If you solve all of these, you'll be well on your way to being a working artist. Only focusing on 1 or 2 of the phases. I touched on that a little bit earlier. But if you are only building your audience and selling, so let's say you've done a great job using Pinterest to get people to your Instagram account, let's say, for example. So you've grown a big Instagram following, and you are on every post saying sell, or buy. How well do you think that's going to work? It might work once in a while, right? But you're leaving a lot on the table there. Maybe you are just bringing people in and talking to them, but you're too scared to sell. So you've got a lot of good friends at this point, and your art isn't moving very often. So which of the phases are you best at? This is just a good thing to think about. I don't really have a worksheet for you here, but which of the phases are you good at naturally? And what are you really lacking in? What do you need to work on the most? Number 2, not knowing how what you're doing fits in. So if you are looking at that list you made earlier and there's all these pieces and you don't really know how they all work, you're just kind of throwing them together into a pot and crossing your fingers, that's not a good strategy. We're going to go back to that in a minute. And only doing the cold activities. That will work. It will take a long time and it won't work great, but it will work some. So now we're just going to hold off on the commentary on that for a minute. We'll get to that. Okay, so back to your brain dump. I want you to go through and say which phase each one fits into and if it's a cold or warm activity. So writing and scheduling social media posts. That could be all three, right? It could be helping people find you depending on if the post does really well and it goes viral or it trends in a hashtag or someone shares it. It could be number 1. It's not necessarily, but it could be. Number 2, building a relationship, getting them to know you, what you're about. Number 2 is probably the biggest purpose it serves, but it also serves number 3 if you're using the calls to action, if people ever DM you and say, hey, how do I buy that? So it could serve all 3 purposes. So writing and scheduling social media posts, not a bad activity to do. Changing your website copy. Depending on what you're writing, it could be helping people get to know you and what you're about. It could also be helping you sell. It probably won't do a lot of selling for you, but it can help you to sell. Uploading products to your website, that's making it simpler for them. So that could go into the selling category. Looking for new hashtags, that could be helping them find you. Notice all of these things are still in the cold. Want to or think you should do, writing a newsletter, adding a blog, creating an opt-in, those are all ways to help build a relationship. But just because you write a newsletter, they're not going to find you. Let's add number 3 to that. That could help you sell too. Adding a blog. They're not going to find you because you write a blog, unless you are search engine optimizing it, adding it to Pinterest, different things. So those are different activities. Just writing a blog can help build a relationship, but it's not going to help people find you unless you're doing other things as well. And creating an opt-in, same thing. So if you look here, you're real heavy on the 2s. We're iffy on this being helping people find you. It can if you get lucky. And hashtags also, it can if you get lucky. So you don't have a real good strategy here for bringing people in. And maybe let's say you're awesome at copy. So it sells a little bit and you're selling a little bit through your social media posts and you've got it pretty simple for them to buy. So you've got, let's say, a little bit of selling going on, a lot of relationship building, and not much audience building. So if no one's finding you, you're not the 2 phases you're really focusing on aren't helping you that much because there's not many people there. So this is just a good way to kind of analyze what you're doing right now. Now let's make a plan. Okay, so a really good place to start is what's worked for you in the past to sell your art. Say that. I don't know. Let's just start with this. Okay, so starting with your sold art, I pulled some of these examples out of the group, so you might recognize them if you've been around for a little bit. So example 1, to gain awareness, to make them aware they exist. They were already friends in real life, okay? So friends in real life, good people to make aware. Number 2, they shared conversations over the years about what they value. They talked. They were friends. They talked. She had posted this piece on Facebook, and the person liked the aesthetic, so she DM'd her to buy. Notice this isn't some random person off the internet that just happened to find her and was like, ooh, I'm going to buy that. That could have happened, but this is what happened, and this is what happens more often than not. So just noticing, here's the different stages of what's worked for me so far. Example number 2. I posted a piece and it got picked up and reposted. Love it when that happens, right? So she was recommended. So that's a warmer activity or a warmer thing to happen. So she didn't actually have to do that relationship building piece because they started off in the warmer section. And then she received inquiries to buy. That was simple. And of course, we can't necessarily control our pieces getting picked up and reposted, but if you are thinking, okay, how can I make that happen more often? If you are trying to problem solve that idea, that's the thing you're trying to do, you're going to have more luck than if you're just waiting for someone to randomly pick it up. Number 3, she mentioned, hey, to a neighbor, I'm an artist. They were just passing by on the street. They got excited that they had this shared interest. Ooh, we like art. And she told them about her website. So she started off by saying, I'm an artist. If she hadn't said that, none of this would have happened. She made them aware she was an artist. They talked about their shared interest, which was art. And she said, I have a website. Then they needed a last-minute gift, and she was able to make that process quick and easy. She was just down the street. She had inventory, and she was like, oh, here you go. Here's money. Sold art. Okay? So notice here, one, like I just said, she told them, hey, I'm an artist. They happen to have a shared interest about that. Again, you can't control that, but that's not ever going to happen if you don't tell them you're an artist to begin with. And then she was able to make the process easy. She gave them good customer service. She gave them a special gift without them having to go search out the whole world. She was just down the street. Here you go. Okay, so once you've done that, once you've gone through and looked at what's worked for you in the past, look for the trends in those. In each phase. So the awareness phase. Look at your data, and 2 out of 3 times that I sold a piece, it started with me telling others I'm an artist. Okay, well, what does that tell you? You need to spend more time and find more ways to tell people that you're an artist. It sounds simple, it sounds stupid. Like, how is that going to help me sell art, Jessica? Well, you just looked at the data, and it did, right? So maybe that is the main focus for you for right now, is finding new ways to tell people that you already know, that you have met in the past, that were your best friend 20 years ago, telling them you're an artist. Maybe that means rekindling some relationships and starting new conversations with them. Maybe you write an email to everyone you've ever known. Hey, I'm an artist. Here's what I'm working on. What are you up to? It sounds simple, but it is simple. And a lot of times our brain will say, oh, that's too easy. I need to go learn this new thing. I need to go make this more complicated for it to work. But it doesn't have to be complicated to work. But if you are one of those people that likes that challenge, likes doing those new things, we're gonna add that in too. Don't worry, we're getting there. Okay, so out of all the things that you wrote down of what's worked in the past, relationship building, maybe you have, when you've sold art in the past, usually you've talked before about a shared interest. Okay, well, what does that tell you? More people with shared interests equal more sales. Again, simple. Not glamorous, simple, easy. It will take a little bit of creative problem solving to think about how to have more conversations with more people with shared interests. Selling. Maybe 2 of the last 3 times you got inquiries to buy and you didn't actually have to reach out to anyone and do anything. But you noticed that it was more this style than that style. And this style tends to sell easier. And you didn't really have to do a whole lot after you did the awareness and relationship building. They just like that style. That style tends to sell. Now, let's do a pause here. That does not mean that if style A is landscapes, but you don't really like doing landscapes, you like doing abstracts. But the landscapes are so easy to sell. Then you make a decision. Right now, do I want to focus on making sales more easily? Do I need the income? Or am I willing to give it some time and figure, because there's always a way. There's always a way to figure out how to make style B sell more. So do I want the quick, easy sales? Maybe you do 3 months of selling that landscape, build up a little cash, and then have a little leeway to play with style B. Or maybe you're doing this and you're like, I don't really need the money and I really want to paint style B, so I'm going to work on that. That's what I'm going to do. Great, do that. There is not a right answer here, except the answer that's right for you. Also, if you decide, I need the money right now, I'm going to do style A, that doesn't mean you're stuck with it forever. That means you're going to build up some cash reserve and then do style B. Or maybe you're doing style B kind of on the side. There's lots of ways to work this. There's always a way to make what you want happen. Okay, that's the end of my slides. I want to show you something else.